The mind is a problem creator and not the problem solver that it masquerades as. And I love that statement. And I'll take a couple minutes now and talk about it with you. It's kind of funny, but it's very interesting to explore. And it was a very dear friend of mine who made this statement to me several years ago. He's since passed, but he offered me many, many gifts in his life and in the time we spent together. And one of those gifts was when he came to me one day and he said, I've discovered that the mind is a problem creator, not a problem solver. And he slammed his hand down on the counter. And we both had a good laugh. And I asked him, to explain. And the explanation he gave was very powerful. And since then, I have looked at that in my life and have discovered that that's a very, very profound and accurate statement. Now, yes, the mind can be used to solve problems. It does it wonderfully. And that's not what we're talking about. I'm not talking about that focused attention where I'm on a task. I'm talking about the times when my attention is focused, but it's almost an unconscious type of focused. And I'll explain. So the example he gave when he gave me this statement was that there was a situation going on in his life in relation with someone else that he was unsettled about, and he needed to have a conversation with this person. And essentially he shared that for an entire day, he noticed after the fact that for that entire day, he was quote unquote solving this problem in his head, in the background. He was doing the tasks he had to do through the day, but in the background, he was constantly working on this problem. And the working looked like this. It looked like him replaying over and over or rehearsing the conversation he was going to have with this person. Now, how many of you have done that? I've done it. I've done it many, many times in my life, too many times I can remember. And the conversation never goes the way we plan, but that's a whole nother topic. So he noticed that he was rehearsing this conversation over and over and over. And the process is a very simple one, and it's almost like watching a movie in your head. Well, I'll say this, and then he or she will say this, and then my response will be this, and then he or she might say this, or they might go this way. Well, if they go this way, then I'm going to say this. If they go this way, I'm going to get pretty angry, and I'm going to say. So it's rehearsing, and we've all been there, doing it over and over and over. And then he had the discovery where he noticed that after hours and hours and hours of rehearsing this and getting this conversation in his mind down to how he thought it was going to go or what his plan was for it to go, he would stop thinking about it for a little while, and he noticed that at some point it would come back and the brain would go, yeah, but what if this happens? And boom, problem created. And I sat with that for a while, and I went back and reviewed my experiences of me trying to solve similar situations. And I found that he was exactly right, that my experience was exactly that. Every time I thought I had it figured out, every time I thought I understood what the situation was, the brain or the mind, my brain or my mind would go, yeah, but what if this happens? And then I was off and running again, because then I had a whole new scenario. And it can become a very powerful tool for us when we notice ourselves in this cycle to pause and to go inward and look at what is my process. And not only what is my process, but as I say in almost all of these videos, what is my experience while I'm rehearsing? And my experience has been that it's always less than peaceful. I can catch myself, or notice. Catching is again a word I try to shy away from. I can notice if I'm in the car, for example, rehearsing something or reviewing something. When I do wake up to what I'm doing, my hands are tight on the steering wheel, my legs are tight in the chair, my brain is occupied with these thoughts. I may not even be sure where I am on the road in terms of my journey, where I'm going. And again, those are wonderful gifts. That's self-awareness. And in that moment, when I notice or I bring awareness to the process I'm in, it shrinks everything. And now I'm in the present moment. And for however long that lasts, it's very cool that I'm not experiencing the anxiety of rehearsing. I'm not rehearsing because I'm aware, because I'm present in the moment. So I've gotten off on a little bit of a tangent, and I'll come back now. So the gift is in noticing the times that my brain or the mind is creating problems, is making up stories, is changing the situation. When the mind is interpreting things as they aren't. All designed or intended to keep me trapped in thought, to keep me less than peaceful, and to keep me out of the present moment. I's not the right word. The brain or the mind can't rehearse the present moment. It can't practice the present moment. And it actually ceases to exist in the present moment. There's really no thinking that takes place. So it's always got me in past or future. And I'll go back to where I started. I do love my friend's statement that in its going back to present and future, it's always creating problems. I don't notice that. I notice the problems that I solve. And yet I don't really solve them. It gets tricky and it gets messy really fast. And there's no need to go there. The place to go is when we do notice that we're rehearsing or that we're sort of unconsciously solving a problem, bring awareness to that, and then notice how the brain wants to change the scenario. The brain wants to bring up what ifs, and keep that process going because it keeps us entrenched. So what I did, and I'll suggest this as a good practice, only for as long as we need it, is I just put up a little note, and I put it right on my dashboard, and I think I had it on the bathroom mirror for a while because that's somewhere where I can go unconscious. And there was a little note that said it said the mind is a problem solver, see, I don't even get it straight. It said the mind is a problem creator, not a problem solver. And that's all I needed. That was enough. Most days I wouldn't even see it. It'd be right there on the dashboard, I'd look right at it, and you don't see it. But it was there for the times that I was supposed to see it. And it caught my attention. And believe it or not, the times that it caught my attention, I was entrenched in problem creating. And just that little reminder brought awareness. With awareness comes cessation. And with cessation comes a moment or two of peace and presence in the moment. And for now, I'll take that. Wonderful experience.